What's the battery look like?
An hour.
Okay.
Alright, I'm going to read to you a couple of pages of A Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney. Just a little precursor, it's done in journal form and it's illustrated, so that could be a good way to use that in your classroom to show another example of multi-genre. This is from the first chapter, September, Tuesday. First of all, let me get something straight. This is a journal, not a diary. I know what it says on the cover, but when my mom went out to buy this thing, I specifically told her to get one that didn't say diary on it. Great. All I need is for some jerk to catch me carrying this book around and get the wrong idea. And then in the book there's a picture of a bully grabbing him by the back of his pants. The other thing I want to clear up right away is that this was Mom's idea, not mine. But if she thinks I'm going to write down my feelings in here, or whatever, she's crazy. So just don't expect me to be all, Dear Diary this and Dear Diary that. The only reason I agreed to do this at all is because I figured later on, when I'm rich and famous, I'll have better things to do than answer people's stupid questions all day long. So this book is going to come in handy. So he was up at the podium and he's taking questions. Some of the things says, Gregory, tell us about your childhood. Were you always so smart and handsome? Here's my journal. Now shoo. Like I said, I'll be famous one day, but for now, I'm stuck in middle school with a bunch of morons. Alright, that's just the first 2 pages of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. We get introduced to the main character, his name's Greg. Did you guys pick up anything on his character as far as his personality through the writing? Do you remember any examples?
Basically, what do we know about Greg?
Yeah.
The first 2 pages.
He's funny.
Okay. Do you remember how or why?
Well, I mean, he was like, well, when I'm rich and famous, like
Right.
I don't think he's meaning to be, but he is.
So
Go ahead.
Well, he's worried about people think about him.
good.
Because he didn't want to carry around a diary.
Exactly. So he said that he's in middle school, and his mom obviously is involved in his life a lot, and he's trying to become independent. So that's something that we can take out of his writing that isn't written down. It doesn't list, I'm a middle schooler, I have issues with my mom, I'm trying to be independent. It says it through the writing. So we've got a little activity.
Okay, this is a character questionnaire that I picked up when I was a creative writing major. And so it asks a bunch of questions about the character, whether you want to work that into your writing or not. It's important to know these things, and it's important to know a lot about your character. So I'm going to go through, it says, this is actually based on my dog son. So, what's your character's name? How old are they? Cole Schaefer, age 4. The last book he read was the true story of the 3 little pigs. He said it was his new favorite book. However, he says that about every book that he reads, so it'll probably change tomorrow. What does he eat when he knows he shouldn't? He loves sweets, but he's so young that he doesn't care if he shouldn't, especially those Oreos. He doesn't smoke, he's 4. He has a scar on the bottom of his foot from when he stepped on broken glass at his grandparents' lake house. He also just recently had an accident on the playground where he was friends with playing human dominoes and he fell face first into a bench. He broke the soft bone under his nose, had to have jaw surgery, so he has some scars in his mouth and nose. He didn't know where they were. He is, however, missing the top 4 teeth from this accident. They're just baby teeth, so they'll grow back. The rest of his teeth are all fine, all baby teeth. His hair is blonde, almost white, and very fine. It's like parted on the left side of his head and lays flat. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an image. He's missing 4 teeth, so he's got this huge gap in his mouth. And when he smiles, all you see is gums. He uses L'Oreal Kids shampoo that smells like grape. He likes the smell of it. He likes to smell chocolate chip pancakes on Sunday. He doesn't have a car, but he has a battery-operated Jeep that he races around the neighborhood. His favorite sound is the spring sound, his trampoline when he bounces up and down. He wears light-up sneakers and Buzz Lightyear on the sides, and he always asks why. So those are some things that you know about Cole, that you can work into the writing or not, but it's important, like I said, to know about your character better than the reader does. Because when you know it, it'll become real, regardless of if you say, Cole wears light-up sneakers with Buzz Lightyear on them. It says something about his personality and who he is as a person. So now I want you guys to think of a character either in your life or one that you just made up on the spot. It can be fact or fictional. And think about the answers to these questions. And then we also have some deeper ones down here that you can also think about. So take out a sheet of paper and just jot down a couple of things. We'll give you a couple minutes. It doesn't have to be very in-depth, but just consider it.
You just want us to answer this psychological.
Yeah. Another good way, if you are stuck on coming up with a name for a character in your book, best way is just get a telephone book and scroll down and pick one that you like, or combine names, just to give you something that's a little different than the normal John Smith or.
I know a lot of people also like to use irony in the names of their characters, like calling the big guy Kaitie. Or if anyone's seen How I Met Your Mother, like there's the really suave character that always wears suits, and his name is Barney.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of irony in there too.
Right,
So that's
like
why
so based on somebody you know. Right.
Okay.
Or that you would make up, like you have a character that you're writing. Like this is kind of based on the assumption that the students would have created a character and they want to get more in depth with that character. That's where you would assume this. So this would be in the second half of the writing process.
Okay.
Like you create a character and start rough draft, and then these are techniques that you can use to get more in depth with that character.
Thank you.
Personally, I think that coming up with a good character is like the most important thing to include in your writing, because if your characters aren't real and aren't believable, then what else do you have? You can have a great setting, but if you've got some two-dimensional guy walking around in it, it kind of ruins the whole story. So it's definitely really, really important to know these things. We'll give you about a minute.
Also, a better way, like once you start writing these fears and disappointments, and even the story that she gave the example with how he lost his teeth and how he broke his jaw, those stories will, if you share those stories within your story, the character will come to life without you telling him the kid had a broken jaw. Like if you tell the story, it'll come out, his personality will come out a lot better.
Start to stop. 10 minutes in. And we have a volunteer to share.
I will.
Okay.
She fears making mistakes, disapproval, and hurting someone's feelings. Greatest disappointment is probably having an adult be disappointed in her. Impulses that she struggles with would be correcting others, namely a little sister. Not really any memories that she's haunted by. She's not one to lie, but she will keep things bottled up inside her. That's as far as I got.
Awesome. Anyone else want to share? No? Alright. That's fine. Does anyone have any other questions?
Thoughts on it, or how they would implement it in the story, like if they... Did you guys use this type of lesson plan in your classroom?
Would your questions, like the profile, be based on an idea of what your story is going to be about?
It could be.
Like,
Or
yeah.
do you kind of just make up a character and then your story can go off that?
Right, because, well, short stories, like it depends on the type of genre you're writing. Short stories are usually based on the outcome. You have your idea set, whereas if you were writing a longer story or a novel or a novella, it would be based on the character. You would want to build your character first and then go through the adventures that the character would have based on his traits and personalities.
This
So,
can be a really good pre-writing tool, though. If you're not totally sure what you want to write about, when you start answering questions about the character that you have in mind, it can kind of start to unfold. It can start to help you with some ideas.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. To
good thing to start with.
Yeah.
So then you won't have to like go back and change your story if you like think of something different later or something.
You should definitely do this before you start writing the story, regardless of if you have an idea or
Are there any other questions? Well, thank you, and just remember.